All right, everybody, welcome back. Ready to dive into something kind of legendary.
Let's do it. Always up for a little wisdom.
This deep dive we're taking on is Jim Rohn's 7 Strategies for Wealth and Happiness. But, not like a book report way, more like, how do we actually use this stuff?
Yeah, Ron's big on the actionable steps. People crave that, right? Not just feel-good fluff.
Exactly. So for anyone who hasn't cracked open this book yet, it's about building a life that's rich in every sense. Money matters, sure, but also relationships, purpose, the whole shebang.
And what's cool is Ron's not some ivory tower guru. Dude went from zero to hero himself, so he's speaking from experience.
Oh, totally. Like that whole work harder on yourself than you do on your job thing.
So true, right?
It's foundational. Personal development, that's the ultimate investment. You can have all the skills in the world, but if you don't have the mindset to match,
it all kind of crumbles.
Yeah.
I remember this one line, something like, formal education gets you a job, self-education gets you a fortune. Boom, mic drop. It's that ownership mentality. You're not waiting for permission to succeed, you're creating it. And that applies to finances, too, which Ron doesn't shy away from.
Nope. Financial independence is a state of mind, he says. And it's about budgeting, investing.
But he explains it in a way that just clicks. Like, remember that bit about compounding? Small, consistent actions leading to huge results over time.
Oh, powerful stuff. But it's not just about the money, right? Ron talks about your circle of influence, too.
Big time. You're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Always stuck with me.
Makes you think about who you're letting into your inner circle, right? Are they lifting you up or holding you back?
And that kind of leads into another strategy. Never stop learning. Ron was all about that reading, exploring new ideas. Stagnation to him was the death knell.
So we've got working on ourselves, finances, relationships, learning, 4 down, 3 to go. And this next one's huge. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Right. Ron was all about pushing boundaries. Growth happens outside that comfort zone.
And then there's time management. Time is more valuable than money, he'd say. Not about cramming more in, but about prioritizing what matters.
And finally, that positive attitude. Not some fake positivity, but that choice to focus on the good, find the lessons in the struggles.
You nailed it. For me, that self-improvement thing, that's been huge. It's so easy to get lost in the daily grind. But when I prioritize my own growth, everything shifts.
I'm drawn to the lifelong learning bit. The world's changing so fast, you got to stay adaptable. Never stop growing.
So for everyone listening, what resonates most with you right now? What's one little thing you can do today to put this into action? And if you want the full Rohn experience, definitely check out the book. It's packed with wisdom. Ron seems to be tapping into something a little different here, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah, from the first chapter, it's clear he's talking about igniting that fire within. He really distinguishes between just wishing for a better life,
right,
and having that deep desire that really propels you forward.
Like he uses this analogy of, being totally stuffed after a holiday meal.
Right.
You might wish you could be a little more comfortable, right?
Yeah.
But it's that real desire for change that gets you off the couch and signing up for that marathon or whatever it might be.
Exactly. And I think that's where discipline comes in.
Right.
Which Ron considers the backbone of any real ambition. And he doesn't sugarcoat it,
Yeah.
It's about those daily choices, the grind that we make every single minute that actually align with the future that we're trying to build.
It's so easy to fall into that trap of, I'll be happy when I achieve X, Y, or Z.
Right.
But Ron kind of flips the script on that, doesn't he?
He does. He reminds us that happiness is not some far-off destination.
Right.
He actually quotes Abraham Lincoln on this point.
Oh, wow.
Who said, "You'll be as happy as you make up your mind to be right now."
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about finding that joy in the process.
Yeah.
Not delaying it until some arbitrary finish line.
Think of someone like Benjamin Franklin.
Okay.
A founding father who just seemed to find immense pleasure in the pursuit of his many goals.
Okay.
And this actually ties into another one of Ron's key principles, which is that these grand achievements, they don't happen overnight.
It's not like an overnight success kind of thing.
Exactly. It's like, he says, imagine building a magnificent structure.
Okay.
Each brick that's laid carefully contributes to that final masterpiece. And those small advantages that we cultivate each day through discipline, through focus action, they ultimately amount to remarkable achievements.
It's that compound effect, isn't it? It's over time.
It's about recognizing the power that we have to shape our own lives.
Hmm.
We're not passive passengers. We are the artists.
Right.
And our lives are the canvases.
Yeah.
You have the power to choose the direction you want to go and to mold your reality accordingly.
And he challenges the traditional definition of success too, doesn't he?
He does.
It's not just about those external markers of achievement,
Yeah.
but about finding satisfaction in the journey itself.
He even goes as far as to say that if you're not finding pleasure in what you're doing today,
Oh, wow.
you're not truly successful.
Okay.
At least not by his definition.
I love that.
Yeah.
And he actually encourages us to write down the moments throughout the day that bring us joy,
Mm-hmm.
to really examine what brings us genuine fulfillment.
Yeah. What a powerful exercise
Yeah.
to uncover your own personal path to success. Right?
Absolutely. And I think this is where he introduces a really crucial distinction, especially considering, my interest in the ethics of ambition and all that.
Mm-hmm.
He talks about the difference between self-interest
Yeah.
and selfishness.
Right.
He's not saying that you shouldn't have goals or aspirations for yourself,
Of course not.
but it's about approaching those aspirations with a sense of,
He calls it enlightened self-interest.
okay, yeah,
It's the understanding that when you genuinely focus on serving others, contributing value, making a positive impact, it ultimately benefits everyone involved,
Right.
including yourself.
okay,
So it's not this either,
right, it
it's this both hand.
can be both.
Yeah, okay. And he tells this really interesting story in the book
Okay.
about a man who was practically homeless himself,
Wow.
but dedicated his time to helping families in need. He would spend his evenings, making calls, raising money for these food baskets,
Wow.
even though he was struggling to put a roof over his own head.
It's kind of incredible, isn't it? To have that level of dedication to helping others,
Yeah.
even when you're facing those kinds of hardships yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a real lesson there, isn't there?
There is.
About empathy
I
and
think so,
just
too.
giving back.
And here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay.
Through a series of kind of unexpected connections, his selfless actions actually led to a positive turnaround in his own life.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it really is like that saying, what goes around comes around.
Yeah.
But it's more than that, I think.
It is.
It's about approaching ambition with that generosity of spirit.
Right.
Understanding that, helping others can create this ripple effect
Absolutely.
that ultimately benefits everyone,
It does.
including yourself.
Yeah. It's not this zero-sum game where
Right.
it's like, in order for me to win, you have to lose.
Right.
It's this abundance mindset
Yeah.
that when I help you,
Mhm.
I'm helping myself in the long run.
Yeah, it reminds me of that quote, the more you give, the more you receive.
Exactly.
I don't know where that's from,
Right.
but it's true.
It is, and this actually ties back into Ron's emphasis on discipline.
Okay.
He circles back to this point a lot throughout the book.
Mhm.
And he really drives home that, discipline is not about being hard on yourself,
Okay.
but it's about making those small conscious choices day after day.
Yeah.
And he uses this really great analogy of a plane's flight path.
Okay.
Even tiny deviations, if left unchecked, can take you miles off course
Right.
from your intended destination.
Yeah, that's a great analogy because it's so easy to dismiss those small, seemingly insignificant choices
It is.
that we make each day.
It is.
But it's the cumulative effect.
Exactly.
over
Yeah,
time.
It's like compound interest,
Yeah.
but for your decisions.
Exactly. It's a powerful reminder to stay focused on those daily disciplines.
It is. And speaking of staying focused,
Yeah.
Ron is a huge advocate for the power of writing things down.
Oh, totally.
He believes that the simple act of, putting pen to paper or
Mhm.
even typing it out can unlock clarity and lead to creative solutions.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in that too. I don't know. Have you ever experienced that?
Absolutely.
Where you're just like wrestling with a problem and then you
Yeah.
start writing it down
Mm.
and then suddenly it's like, oh,
Yeah.
there's the solution.
Renan believes that writing things down
Yeah.
helps us move from a state of feeling overwhelmed to a place of greater objectivity and control.
It's like taking those swirling thoughts out of your head
Mm-hmm.
and putting them down on paper into something tangible.
Exactly. And you can look at it
Yeah.
from a different perspective.
You can see it with more clarity
Exactly.
when it's not just trapped up in here.
Now, another cornerstone of Ron's philosophy,
Okay.
and this is something I know you're particularly interested in,
Hmm.
is the idea of self-reliance.
Go.
He doesn't advocate for isolation or refusing help or anything like that,
Right.
but he stresses the importance of taking full ownership of your life,
Okay.
successes, failures, and everything in between.
So it's that internal locus of control instead of blaming external circumstances or other people.
He suggests asking yourself this question:
Okay.
what could I have done differently?
It's a powerful reframe
It is.
because it shifts the focus from blame
Yes.
to personal responsibility. And often in that shift, you discover opportunities for growth that
Absolutely.
you might have otherwise missed.
You said it perfectly.
It's about recognizing that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can control how you respond
Yes.
and what you learn from those experiences.
Beautifully said.
And speaking of taking responsibility,
Yes.
Ron also challenges us to consistently strive to do a little more
Yes. Love this one.
than what's expected of us, whether it's in our work, our relationships, our personal
That's
pursuits,
our personal growth.
our spiritual growth.
He believes that this consistent effort to go above and beyond can have a really profound impact on our lives.
It's about pushing past complacency. It's about embracing that growth mindset. It's about challenging yourself to step outside your comfort zone
100%.
and see what you're truly capable of.
And you know what?
What's so interesting is that while he emphasizes self-reliance,
Yes.
he also recognizes the importance of collaboration and building strong relationships.
Of course, we can't do it all alone.
Right.
Right? He dedicates a significant portion of the book to discussing the power of working effectively with others.
Oh, interesting.
He provides practical advice on communication networking,
Okay.
building mutually beneficial relationships.
So he doesn't fall into that trap of you should just do everything yourself and be a lone wolf.
Not at all.
He recognizes that we need each other.
We need each other. We can achieve so much more when
Right.
we work together.
Yeah.
And when we learn how to work together effectively.
And he even dives into some of those, like, communication pitfalls
He does.
that can sabotage success, especially in the workplace.
Yeah, like for example, he cautions against using inappropriate language in the
Yeah.
workplace.
Like swearing and stuff.
Well, it's not just about, like cursing. It's more about
Right.
being mindful of your audience.
Okay.
Understanding that what might acceptable, joking around with your friends,
Right.
might not be appropriate in a professional setting.
Yeah. It's like that saying, dress for the job you want, not the job you have,
Exactly.
but for communication.
Yeah, like tailor your communication style to fit the context.
It's all about reading the room,
It is.
knowing your audience.
And it's not just about what you say, but how you say it as well.
Right.
Ron talks about managing your emotions, for example,
Okay.
especially anger.
Right.
He acknowledges that you're going to encounter frustrating situations,
Of course. Yeah.
but it's how you express those frustrations.
Right. So no yelling at the intern.
Well, it's more nuanced than that.
Okay.
He talks about, addressing the problem, not the person.
Right.
Finding a way to communicate your concerns constructively, while still maintaining professionalism and respect, even when you're feeling stressed or angry.
So it's like finding that balance
Yes.
between being assertive, but also like preserving those relationships.
Exactly.
Which are so important.
Because those relationships are going to be there long after
Right.
this particular issue is resolved.
Right. Exactly.
So you have to think long term,
Okay.
big picture.
So we've talked about, external markers of success and how Ron really challenges that.
Mm-hmm.
He encourages us to define success on our own terms,
Absolutely.
which I think is so important, especially today.
It is, because we're bombarded with these external markers of success constantly.
All the time. Yeah, it's like the big house, the fancy car.
Social media.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Right. It's all about appearances.
It's so easy to get caught up in that.
It is. And I think that's why Ron's message is so refreshing,
Yeah.
because he's really encouraging us to look inward
Mhm.
and ask ourselves what truly brings us joy and fulfillment. It's about aligning your ambitions with your values,
Right.
not chasing someone else's definition of success.
So it's really about that self-awareness piece
It is.
and then taking action based on what you know to be true for yourself.
Exactly. And not being afraid to define success differently from maybe how the rest of the world defines it.
And it's not about sacrificing your well-being in pursuit of those goals either.
Right. He's not saying you should work yourself to the bone,
Right.
neglect your health, your relationships.
Right. He emphasizes this balance, doesn't he?
He does. He talks about the body as a temple,
Oh, wow.
something to be cherished and cared for.
Interesting.
He's a firm believer that physical health is essential for mental clarity,
Right.
for sustained energy and focus, both of which are crucial for achieving your goals.
So it's not about, becoming a triathlete or anything.
Yeah.
But it's about just incorporating some physical activity.
Yeah, finding simple ways to move your body.
Right.
Whether it's taking the stairs instead of the elevator, going for a walk during your lunch break.
Those little things.
Exactly. It's about those small, consistent actions
Right.
that add up over time.
So it seems like, to kind of wrap things up here,
Yeah.
Ron's The Power of Ambition isn't just about climbing the corporate ladder or achieving some external measure of success.
No, it's not a business book.
Right. It's about cultivating a mindset,
It is.
a way of being in the world
Absolutely.
that is both ambitious and fulfilling.
It's about embracing discipline, self-reliance, a commitment to continuous growth,
Right.
but also prioritizing your well-being and staying true to your values.
It's about really defining success on your own terms.
Yes.
And living a life that reflects those values.
Beautifully said. I think that's a perfect way to sum it up.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
But that's the beauty of a good deep dive, isn't it?
It is. It sparks more questions.
It does, yeah. And it gives you that inspiration to kind of continue exploring.
And to take action.
Yeah, what are you going to do with this information now?
Right? What are you going to do differently tomorrow?
Exactly. So thank you so much for joining us on this journey.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, the power to unlock your own potential
Lies within you.
I love it. Thanks again.